for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Matt Ohayon with you on this Friday evening. Welcome, everybody, to the Sick Podcast, and welcome to your weekend. Just before we get into some business, I just got to apologize for the past few weeks of the audio quality. It's this mic has actually been decorative the past few weeks. The sound is coming out of this mic attached to my headphones because the mic stopped working, but we're trying to get this sorted out with Samian and Yellow and Shane back in Master Control. So we will have that fixed up for you, hopefully by next week. Okay, Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. You haven't really played poker until you've played at Playground. Voted Fan Choice Best Poker Room at the 2025 Global Poker Awards. Enjoy free drinks at every table, free food at all cash games, and daily tournaments, plus the biggest events in the game like the World Poker Tour and WSOP Circuit, landing at Playground August 18th. And don't miss your shot at the world record Bad Beat Jackpot, now closing in on $1 million. Just minutes away from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. This is Playground. We're also brought to you by La Bittt Tibi. La Bittt Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer perfect for those hot summer days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% alcohol per can. Available packs in 6 and 12 in grocery stores and dépanneurs across the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. And finally, go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. Let's bring him in. He's my usual Friday guest. He's Stu Cowan. Stu, we are pre-recording today's episode because you are going to be with many Montreal Canadiens later in the day at the Lasso Festival.
Yeah, there's always quite a few of them there. Country music's big in the Canadiens locker room. So I know I've seen Arbor Jackai there in the past, and Caden Gooley and Nick Suzuki. And apparently Jeff Molson's a big country music fan also, so he might be there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to one of my favorite weekends of the year.
It's funny because a few weeks ago when it was Osheaga, the Canadiens were posting, there were videos of Jeff Molson, Kent Hughes. I don't know if Jeff Gorton was there, but a few of the Montreal Canadiens, they were there as well, enjoying taking in the Killers. And now they're going to be here taking in Lasso, because Lasso and country music in general is a big thing amongst hockey players. That's something I've noticed.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the Canadiens locker room, I mean, Joel Edmondson used to be the DJ in the locker room, and I wrote a column a few years ago about him and how his musical tastes, and country's big, and Cole Caufield, I believe, took over. So, yeah, you can hear the music playing in the locker room, and more often than not, it's country, and even more so probably when Carey Price was in there.
That's right. So it should be lots and lots of fun. You got perfect weather. It won't be a battle, unlike last week was for Il Sonicoers. So it should be a very, very good time. Let's talk about what other than the Montreal Canadiens, of course, but let's talk about this coming season and comparing it to last season. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to name you some players because we're going to go through what needs to happen for the Montreal Canadiens to not only make the playoffs, because I think that's a baseline expectation at this point, but to, I guess, comfortably make the playoffs, so not in game 82 of the season make it there, because last year the Canadiens finished with a 40, 31, and 11 record, I believe. So that's 11 points they left on the table throughout the season. Anyway, so let's start with the man who stirs the drink for the Canadiens, or the straw that stirs the drink, I should say. Nick Suzuki. Last year he had 89 points. You believe that he can hit 100. What is his baseline level of points that needs to happen for the Canadiens to make the playoffs?
Well, I think he needs to at least match last year, which was 89, and I think he will. And it's also impressive last year. There's a guy who was plus 19 as a number one center on a team that you said just squeaked into the playoffs and won 51% of his faceoffs. So I think 90 points. I think is, as I said last week. I wouldn't be shocked if he hits 100 points this year. Actually, I think he probably will, with the addition of Demidov and Dobson and some more offensive players to help him out there. So, first point per game player the Canadiens have had since Alex Kovalev, which is a long time. And you wonder, you don't want to put too much pressure on Demidov coming into his first season. But he's going to put up some points and he's going to help the team overall offense. And so will Dobson. So for Nick Suzuki's Nick Suzuki. He's not going to change, right? He's going to play a solid game. He's going to be there every game. He hasn't missed a game since his career started. Doesn't sit out any games. He gives you everything he has. So Nick Suzuki is the least of my worries going into the season for the Canadiens.
The next player is probably my second least of my worries, is Cole Caufield. He had 70 points, career high 37 goals. Something that's not really talked about all that much with Cole Caufield is, we talk about it a lot with Nick Suzuki and how every year his point total has steadily increased. But Cole Caufield, every year, his goal total has steadily increased. So could this be the year the Canadiens get their first 40-goal scorer since the 1993 season?
I think so. I think so. I remember Serge Savard spoke with him a couple of years ago about Cole Caufield, and he talked about how much he reminded him of Yvon Cornway, and saying Serge Savard said at the time, a couple of years ago, he's going to score 40 goals. 26 2 seasons ago. 26 in goals in 22-23, 28, 23, 24, and then 37 last year. So 40 isn't a big stretch for him to hit this season. Even more importantly, though, the way he's become a 200-foot player over the last couple of years with the help of Marty St. Louis. Plus player last season. You watch him, he works as hard in the defensive zone as he does in the offensive zone. I remember Marty St. Louis saying, I'm not going to teach him how to score goals. He already knows how to do that, but I'm going to teach him to be better away from the puck and teach him how to maybe get into spots where he can score more goals. He scores more goals in the dirty areas now than he has in the past, which is going to help him also. It's not just relying on that big shot. And again, on the power play with the addition of Demidov and Dobson, that's going to help the overall offense from the team. And you have to figure that's enough to get Cole Caufield 3 more goals than he got last season and hit the 40-goal mark.
Yeah, and he'll need to, because while yes, the Canadiens got some exciting acquisitions, Zack Bolduc, Noah Dobson, they're going to have Ivan Demidov for a full year. While that is all nice and well, the Canadiens will go as far as Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield will take them. And while they have those additions, they also lost 33 goals in Christian Dvorak, Yoel Armia, and Emil Heineman. Now, these players were nice complementary players, and, they were not essential to the Canadiens' success. That you could find those elsewhere. Cole Caufield will have to find some more goals to pick up the slack of 33 goals, because we were always saying, how much better could the Canadiens be if they just scored 20 more goals in a season, 20 more power play goals? Well, they just lost 33 goals. And yeah, it's divided over 3 players, but it's still a big number that they'll find. So I think Cole Caufield will not only will he hit the 40-goal plateau, but I think they'll have to for the Canadiens to comfortably slot themselves into a playoff spot.
Well, and Zack Bolduc, who might be one of the guys you're going to bring up soon. I mean, 19 goals last year with the Blues, despite missing 10 games. He picked it up in the second half of the season also. So there's a guy who's going to, if you can hit 20 goals, that's 20 of those goals replaced, right? And then you're going to need some other guys to come in. I mean, we're going to see what happens with Joe Veleno, what role he ends up playing with the team. We're going to see what happens with Joshua Roy at training camp. We've spoken in previous episodes just about the internal competition. There's going to be among young players coming into camp. Owen Beck's in that group also. So I don't think replacing those 33 goals is going to be that difficult. If you look like Bolduc, you figure, okay, you're going to get 20 there, and then you need 13 from a couple other guys. So I don't think it's a huge concern. I think bigger concern might be with the loss of Armia and these guys on the PK. And just the steadiness that they have, the veteran presence that they have. But I'm not too concerned about them replacing those goals.
I wonder what type of player Bolduc will be or what they're trying to form him into with the Montreal Canadiens. Because to me, for a guy with his motor, even with his offensive ability, it feels like to me he could be another guy like a Josh Anderson project where they turn him into a penalty killer. It just with his motor and his skill set, it just seems like that's going to be one of his roles.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, and this kid's a 17th overall draft pick, right? I mean, he's got talent. There's no doubt about that. And the St. Louis Blues GM was talking about how difficult it was for him to give up Bolduc, but they needed defense, right? So that's why they were willing to make the trade and get Logan Mailloux, and the Canadiens needed forward. So it's one of those trades that could work out well for both teams. But I'm excited to see Zachary Bolduc on this team and what he can bring. And one of the things with the Canadiens with Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton is they do their research on players, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're obviously confident this is a Quebec kid who can play in this market and handle the pressure that comes with this market and hopefully thrive in this market also. He seems so excited about coming to play with Montreal. He was a little shocked at first when he learned about the trade. He didn't expect it coming, but when he found out it was Montreal, it's happy about it, obviously. So he's one of those guys. I'm really looking forward to see what he can bring to this team and how he's going to, he's coming into a dressing room where all the guys are around the same age as him, right? And I think that's going to help him come in and blend in also. So Zachary Bolduc, I think, is one of the key players going into this season for the team.
Yeah, and you know what? I think he has the potential to really be a fan favorite for this team, because if you think about it, obviously the prime suspects are going to be Nick Suzuki, who's already a fan favorite, Lane Hutson, who's a fan favorite already, Cole Caufield, Ivan Demidov, who is already they sold out his jersey last year in game 1 that he played. Now, the good thing about Zack Bolduc is that he's not going to have the pressure of what a hometown player would normally have, like Jonathan Drouin, because it's not all on him. So if he does, grasp the opportunity, he will instantly become a fan favorite, given the fact that he's from here and he's performing well.
Yeah, and he's probably going to start off as a third liner here, right? Maybe work his way up. We'll see how things go. But we mentioned on some of the previous podcasts, the Canadiens now have 11 former first-round draft picks on their roster. That's more than half the team. So there's so much talent there for Marty St. Louis to work with. And this is another guy I'm sure St. Louis is really excited about getting to work with a kid like Zachary Bolduc. And he brings, they talked about at the end of the season, their news conference, Gorton and Hughes talked about how the compete level is the thing. They're more concerned about compete level than they are about size or whatever else. Mm-hmm. And this is a kid who comes and competes every game. He plays hard. So I think he's going to fit in really well with this group.
So we might get back to Zack Bolduc and where he fits in. You know what? I actually saw this clip. It was very funny. I think he's playing in that 3-on-3 league. And he was asked a question of when do you think it'll hit you that you're playing for the Montreal Canadiens? And he said, the first game when Fix You hits and I hit the ice. And, just to hear that from a hometown kid who probably dreamt of playing for the Montreal Canadiens ever since he was born, to hear him say that just means he's going to have an extra jump in his step on game 1, and you're going to see what Zachary Bolduc brings to the table pretty quickly the first time he hits the ice in Montreal.
Well, he'll get that the first preseason game too, because the atmosphere in the preseason games at the Bell Center is pretty electric also, and it will be really this season. I mean, I've been on vacation for the last month, and everywhere I go, all I hear is the question I get from everybody: "You must be so excited about the Canadiens." We're so excited about the Canadiens. Fans are really excited about this team. So that first preseason game that he plays, he's going to get a pretty good taste of what it's like to skate out in the Bell Center and hear that song and hear the crowd. And I'm sure it's something he can't wait to happen.
So the next player we'll jump to is Juraj Slafkovsky. I think, listen, he had 51 points last year. Mm-hmm. I think if he hits 55, you can't really complain. If he sticks around the 50 number, I know he makes a lot of money, and this is going to be the first year of his new contract.
Yep.
But if he sticks around that 55, 60 number, there's no real complaints that you could have, especially if Nick Suzuki and Caufield do their thing, because that was the number one scoring line at 5-on-5 last year. So I think 50 to 60 range for Juraj Slafkovsky is where he'll land. He could have a breakout and hit 70, but the thing is not every player, this is the difficult thing with this exercise, is that not every player is going to hit that ceiling. You know, you look down the roster, there's so many guys who you say, wow, they could score 20, they could score 30. They're not all going to do it. That's just where I see it with Juraj Slafkovsky.
Well, first, as you said, the first year of his new contract at $7.6 million, he's making, $200,000 less than Suzuki and Caufield. To me, a lot more expectations on him just with that amount of money. I mean, Ken Hughes had a conversation with him last season, saying we need more from you. 18 goals last season. You're talking about those 33 goals they've lost. You would hope that Slafkovsky can maybe hit the 25 goal mark this season. But the biggest difference for him this season is that a lot of things have more or less been handed to him since he was the number one overall pick. He made the team right away. They kept him here when he was struggling, when he wasn't struggling. Eventually put him on the number one line, kept him there more or less, even though things were going up. And now we talk about that internal competition. Ivan Demidov is going to want to play with Nick Suzuki and Caufield, you have to think, right? So there's going to be that internal competition, not just for making the team. I mean, Slafkovsky is obviously going to make the team, but with Demidov breathing down his neck and looking to take ice time away from him, whether it be in the number one power play or the number one line. So we're going to see how he reacts to that. And I think he'll react well to it. I mean, here's a kid who's he's mature beyond his years. He's hard on himself. He's one of his own worst critics. So I think having that little, now it's going to get harder for him, right? There's going to be more pressure on him with the salary. There's going to be more pressure for him keeping the spot that he has with Suzuki and Caufield, with other players, younger players coming in. Zack Bolduc's probably not going to be a first-line player, but he's another guy that's come in and looking to earn his spot on the team. But with Demidov, it's going to be really interesting to see how that competition goes and whether – I was wondering last season if Marty St. Louis might throw Demidov out there with Suzuki and Caufield just to see how it would work. It didn't happen. We'll probably imagine we'll see it at some point in one of the preseason games at least, because they're not all going to dress for every game. But that's something that Slafkovsky is going to be pressure on him this year, more pressure than has been on him since he came here, and there's been a lot of pressure on him since he came here.
But you know what? I believe in him. I do. Yeah, there's no reason not to, honestly.
We've seen him when he goes, and you have to remember how he's still young. And, he's talked about, playing like Brady Tkachuk. You have to play like Brady Tkachuk in the NHL. And consistency is the hardest thing for any young player, right? And that's the thing that Slafkovsky has lacked, is consistency. He's really improved his play in his own zone. He's got to use his shot more. He's got to shoot more and not be looking to pass. Use his physicality more often. That's one of his biggest assets, if not his biggest asset. But yeah, Juraj Slafkovsky is a great kid. He's a good kid to be around. Forget how young he is with his size and just how mature he is. You got to remember, he's a kid coming to a new country, a new language, everything else. The spotlight of Montreal, he's handled it all really well through the highs and lows. He hasn't let it affect him. So it's a big season for him, though. Big year. And like you said, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come through and hit the 25 goal mark this season.
Well, that's it. It's just there's no reason to not believe in him after seeing what he did second half Slaf. That's just what it is.
Not all number one overall picks are created equal, right? He's not a generational player like some of the other number one picks that other teams have had. He's just a big power forward, right? And that's what the Canadiens are trying to develop into. And Marty St. Louis has done a really good job with him, among others, we mentioned Cole Caufield, Lane Hutson, of helping these young players develop. And that's probably the main reason why the Canadiens hired him as a coach, right? With no NHL coaching experience. They hired him because they figured Kent Hughes knew him really well from youth hockey, coaching against them and whatnot, and figured this would be a great guy to work with all these young players. And we've seen the results. So with Slafkovsky, Ken Hughes always says progression isn't linear with young players, and it hasn't been with him. But we've seen flashes of the player that he can become. And this is a big season for him, like I mentioned. And I expect him to come through. He's 21 years old. I mean, it's easy to forget that, right? He's been around for a while. He's 21 years old. He's got a lot of experience under him. And just consistency is the main thing he needs to pick up this season.
Now, we won't get into Lane Hutson and Noah Dobson because we spoke about them at length last week. And we know that, the acquisition of Noah Dobson is going to take some of that offensive pressure off of Lane Hudson and vice versa. So those points they're going to get their bag no matter what, especially playing with primetime power play time and just with the pure level of skill that they each possess. Who we will jump into, though, is a guy that we've mentioned a couple times, and he's the most interesting to me this coming season for many, many reasons, is Ivan Demidov. Because I have heard the sky's the limit. That he's going to be Tony is the president of the fan club. He thinks he's going to be a superstar in the league. How fast is that going to happen, though? Because it seems like a lot is being put on his plate already. Is it by the team, or is it by the media, or is it by the fans? Probably a combination of all three. But what would be in your mind we're going to go baseline here, not, we're not going to the ceiling. We're just going baseline. What is a satisfactory season for a player like Ivan Demidov?
Well, you go back to Slafkovsky. The first year he played with the Canadiens, he only played 39 games. He had 4 goals. His second season, he played full 82 games. He got 20 goals, 30 assists. So I would think coming in, as I mentioned earlier, all number 1 picks aren't created equal. I think you can say that Ivan Demidov has more natural talent and gifts than Juraj Slafkovsky has. So I don't think it's unrealistic to expect him to score 20 goals as a rookie. I'd be surprised if he doesn't win the Rookie of the Year, just the experience he had playing in the KHL. The most points ever by a player under age 20 in the KHL. It's a man's league, right? Professional league. He thrived there. I don't see any reason for him not to thrive here. And Marty St. Louis is going to put him in position to succeed, right? He's going to be on the power play. He's going to be on if not the first line, the second line. He's going to get lots of ice time. We got a glimpse at the end of last season, the skill level. Some of those videos coming up from these little 3-on-3 things they're playing this summer. It's slow motion summer hockey, but the skill is there, right? You see between the legs, backhand pass, the way he can turn, the way he can skate, the way he can shoot. He's a top-notch prospect, and he's a really, really skilled player. So I wouldn't be, 20 goals as a rookie would not surprise me for him. As I said, he's going to be given every opportunity to succeed. And as Marty St. Louis has shown in the past, he's willing to give young players a little bit of a leash and let them make mistakes and learn from them and grow from them and not sit them at the end of the bench or sit them up in the press box. So for Demidov, and the fact he's been here all summer, I think is huge. His English was very good already, but I'm sure it's improved. For him and his girlfriend living here together, getting comfortable with the city, skating twice a day, 5 days a week in Brossard, getting used to the facilities, getting used to the guys around the team, getting used to his teammates. So in the season and the experience he had last season, so he's going to be a rookie, but he's going to be very, very comfortable in the situation he's in when he comes in. More comfortable than Slafkovsky was after he got drafted, right? You drafted and then come to Montreal, you don't know anybody here, you're a new guy coming in. So with Demidov, he's already got a pretty good taste of Montreal and the Canadiens. I think that's really going to help him going into the season.
Yeah, he's just such a fascinating player because you have this blue chip prospect potential of, down the road, call it 90 points, maybe even 100-point player in who he is. Just in his first season, it seems like, they didn't really acquire the big marquee guy on the front end because they did in Dobson. But on the forwards group, they didn't acquire a big name. So it just feels like a lot of that is being placed on him. And to just throw out the number 50, points, it's a lot. It's a lot because when you put it into actual figures, that's 20 goals, 30 assists. That's a lot for a rookie. And
but as I said, Slafkovsky did that in his first full season on a team that wasn't as good as this team will be this year, right?
Yeah.
On a team that finished near the bottom of the standings. So that's the reason why I think that the 20-30 is not unrealistic looking at Demidov coming into the season. And just seeing videos of him and talking with Tony, who met him there, and saying he just seems really comfortable in the spotlight. Like he seems to enjoy it. He likes being recognized. He likes being in the spotlight. And that's a huge thing if you're going to play in this market and succeed in this market.
Well, that's a certain thing that only a few Russian NHL players possess, that they thrive as being the guy. The two players that instantly come to mind, one was mentioned earlier as before Nick Suzuki, the last point per game player the Montreal Canadiens had, which was Alex Kovalev.
Mhm.
and the other one is Alex Ovechkin. Those guys craved the spotlight. They wanted it. And you look at Ivan Demidov and the way he debuted it, I think back to that after his was it after his first goal or was it after his first assist where he's on the bench and there's a close-up of him on the camera and he just mouths, "Holy shit." This is crazy what's going on here in a regular season game. So he has that quality, and I believe, like I said last week and like I said 2 weeks ago, about Nick Suzuki, Ivan Demidov right now, from what we know of him, is just made of the right stuff. He knows what it takes to succeed in a man's league. I just don't want there to be, a world of pressure off the bat, and then, he starts the season, his first 7 games, he gets no points or 2 points in his first 7 games, and then the sky is falling already because we know how quickly that could snowball in this city. I don't think it'll get to that, but that's what I worry about.
Well, the other Russian player who loved playing, Ilya Kovalchuk. Remember when the Canadiens got in? And remember the fans went crazy talking about a talented Russian player coming in here. And, he was only here for, I think it was like 20 games or something.
Something like that.
Before the Canadiens traded him. But I mean, the excitement level he brought, and he loved being here too. He was another guy who just loved playing in that spotlight and being in Montreal.
Well, that was Ilya Kovalchuk. It's funny. A lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about that when I was thinking about, the COVID Canadiens. And he scored on a Saturday night. I think it was against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a goal in overtime. That was, the Canadiens were so bad. I forget who it was against, but it was definitely an overtime goal. The Canadiens were so bad that year that this game in the middle of January was essentially the Canadiens fans' Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, he gave the fans
berserk.
There was that video of him on the outdoor rink with his kids too, right? Like the fans just immediately fell in love with him when he came here. And it's been the same thing with Demidov, younger version of Kovalchuk. Yeah,
so he's just such a fascinating player to me, and I'm really, really excited to see what he could do. And the other thing that we don't know for sure, but we could make the assumption, and just in what the Canadiens have done in the past with these players, is he's going to get every opportunity he's ever wanted to succeed. Just like they're going to put Dach in every opportunity to succeed, they're going to put Demidov in every opportunity. They're going to give him power play. They're going to give him the offensive zone starts because that's what he's there for. He's there for offense. They'll clean up his defense. Martin St. Louis will work with him. But on the offensive side of things, he will have every single opportunity to succeed with the Montreal Canadiens and put up as many points as he possibly can.
Yeah, and they did their homework on him right before they drafted him. I mean, Nick Bobrov knows these Russian players as well as anybody, and they realized they understood that Juraj Slafkovsky could thrive in Montreal market, and they made it very clear that's one of the reasons they drafted him number 1 overall. They thought he could handle everything here, and it's the same with Ivan Demidov. That same sort of character, that confidence. That I want to say cockiness, because Slafkovsky's not really cocky, but he is very confident in himself. And Demidov obviously the same way. So the Canadiens factored that in before they drafted these guys, that playing in this market, they'll be able to handle it. They'll be handling the pressure. We've seen no reason. As I said, one of the things that impressed me the most about Slafkovsky is just how mature he is for his age. And good game, bad game, he's always there to face the media. As I said, he's one of his hardest critic on himself. And he seems to enjoy everything that comes with Montreal, good times, bad times. It doesn't seem to affect him personally, and that's huge. That's a huge thing. I mean, you look at Jonathan Drouin, and I really like Jonathan Drouin as a person. He's a good guy, and it just the pressure just got to him, right? It just he couldn't handle it. The Jesperi Kotkaniemi too. When things went bad, mentally it was hard on him. And for Slafkovsky, for such a young guy, he's handled it so well. And Demidov seems to be cut from the same cloth when it comes to that.
Well, that's the thing about Montreal, is just the highs are so incredibly high. And the lows are, the sky is falling and, it's the end of the world.
Patrik Laine experienced both last year, right? Yeah. Patrik Laine went from the biggest hero in Montreal when he first came in, scoring all those power play goals, to fans ripping him at the end of the season. So he got a good taste of both. And that's, as I say, Montreal, the best place to play when things are going well, and the worst place to play when things are going bad.
And you know what? I've always been of the opinion of players who've shied away from, you always hear that it's a tough, Montreal has it tough to sign players. Yes, the tax, yes, the weather, yes, the whatever, but they won't go there because of the pressure packed market.
Yeah.
You know what? If you can't handle that at the biggest stage, I don't want you. I don't want you on the team. And I'm sure that's something that is being factored into every single player that gets acquired by this management group.
Well, we're talking about Nick Suzuki earlier, and one of the biggest things that he's done, I mean, since he was named the youngest captain of the team, 23 years old, named captain, he's such a mature guy beyond his years. But when he decided he was going to live here year round a couple of years ago and spend his summers here, that was huge, I think. That's a big reason why so many of these guys are around skating in Brossard now together. When the captain's staying here all summer, it sort of looks bad when you just disappear, right? And not that long ago, season was over. They couldn't get out of town quick enough, including former captain Shea Weber, right? The season's over. See ya. We'll be back in September. Except for maybe like the guys who lived here, like the French Canadian guys who might have been around. There was probably more guys from other teams spending time in Quebec, Quebecers like Zack Bolduc, for example, coming back home than there were members of the Canadiens. And you go back, I'm old enough to remember when the Canadiens used to have a softball team. They used to tour around Quebec in the summer. But all the guys were here in the summer. And, Bob Gainey and Larry Robinson, the two guys who learned how to speak French. And if you ask them about it, it's not like they took French lessons. They had a lot of French guys in the team and they hung around them, and both languages were spoken in the dressing room and when they went out. And that's sort of how they picked up the language and became part of the community. So Nick Suzuki has made himself part of the Montreal community, and other players are following him. And I think that's huge moving forward with this. That's a huge, huge deal. Montreal's his home. That it's winter, summer, he's here. You look at a guy like Chris Nyland, right? Back here living in Montreal. When he was playing for the Canadiens, he was, he'd go back to Boston for part of the offseason, but he became a Montrealer. And these Canadiens players are now, they're not just Canadians, they're becoming Montrealers also. We talked about a bunch of these guys are going to be at Lasso this weekend for the Country Music Festival. You wouldn't have seen that as much years ago. And I think Nick Suzuki has led the way in doing that.
And the most interesting one of all those players is Patrik Laine.
Exactly. I mean, he's been here. He got married. He was in Italy for a while, but apart from that, you keep seeing videos of him. He's here in Montreal.
Well, and that's it.
That's big too, right? He said at the end of last season, Patrik Laine, that his only goal last season was to fall in love with hockey again because he had lost his passion for the game. He was ready to retire. Mentally, he wasn't in a good space. He went through the NHL Player Assistance Program. Obviously, he's in love with hockey again, right? He was on the ice almost every day this summer and staying here in Montreal. And again, I think when your captain does that, when your captain's here and your captain's around and skating at Brossard and you're not, obviously guys are going to go home to where they're from for a while. But I mean, it used to be, there was a long period where guys couldn't get out of Montreal fast enough when the season ended, and that's changed.
And you know what? It sounds like the past few weeks I have just come to the realization, I've been drinking as someone who was one of Patrik Laine's biggest detractors last season. I am drinking the Kool-Aid this summer, and it tastes really good. It tastes really, really good. I think he being fully healthy, and if injuries aside, and because that could happen to anyone, if he remains fully healthy, I think it's very fair to expect at least 35 goals out of Patrik Laine. So there's your
well, you got to remember last season,
right
the knee injury, right? Serious knee injury. Chose not to have surgery so he could come back and play. Got off to a great start, fell off. The red flags that surrounded Patrik Laine before he came to Montreal came up again. That lack of effort or defensive play. But as he said at the end of the season, he regained his passion for hockey. We're talking about guys who love playing in Montreal. He loves the market here. He loves the attention. We saw the videos from Nick Suzuki's wedding. Nobody was having more fun to look like than Patrik Laine at that. And that's great. He's the guy who mentally went through some tough times. And, him and his wife have started a foundation of helping people with mental health. And if he's in a good place, and he certainly seems to be that way right now, hopefully for the Canadiens, that helps him with his play on the ice also. And I don't see any reason why it wouldn't.
So last one before we wrap up. We're going to get into him. How could we go a full episode without is Kirby Dach.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think should he come in fully healthy, he needs to put up 50 points this year. And this isn't for the success of the Canadiens. This is for his own success in the NHL. I think he needs to put up 50.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I know Kent Hughes, in an interview on NHL.com, saying they're still not 100% certain he's going to be able to start the season, which isn't the best of news. When he had the operation, they said they expected him to be ready for training camp. So with Kirby Dach, it's going to be all about his knee, right? So we'll find out as time goes along, as training camp starts, and whether he's there, what his health situation is. But yeah, I mean, if they don't have him again to start the season, that's going to be a huge blow to this team. So you got to hope that for him, it's all about health. And we're talking about Patrik Laine with mental health too. The mental part of coming back, not just from one knee surgery, we saw how difficult that was. Now it's two. And that's a real difficult thing to do. So for Kirby Dach, it's sort of hard now to predict how many points he's going to get when we don't have the full knowledge of what his physical ability is going to be. But if he does come back and he is able to play, you would certainly hope he could score 20 goals. But again, he's the biggest question mark going into the season is the health and status of Kirby Dach once the season begins.
Well, that's it, because just prorated to an 82 game season, if he plays start to end, you'd want him to play. You'd want him to put up 50. But if he doesn't and he has to step in, a little later, maybe take a page out of the Patrik Laine book and just focus on what the element of your game to ease you into the NHL, because it's so hard to step into a season when people are already fully conditioned to game speed and you have to catch up. That's really, really hard. So focus on the element of your game that you do the best.
Yeah, and the quote from Kent Hughes on the NHL.com story says, our hope is that he's ready to go either start of the season or some point early in the fall. But we certainly have no intention of rushing him in any way. We need to get Kirby back when Kirby is ready to be back physically, and then be very mindful and careful with his return to play. So it remains a big question mark of what we're going to get from Kirby Dach this season.
Yeah, and the one thing I do have confidence amongst many others in the Canadiens is that when they say that they're not going to rush him back, they really won't. They're not going to.
The other thing, reading that quote from Kent Hughes makes me think, we're saying how they haven't added sort of that missing second line center they've been looking for. Reading that quote from Kent Hughes makes me think that he's still working the phones trying to find. He's aware Kirby Dach might not be ready. He's working the phones trying to pick up another center who might be able to fill that second line center position, or at least add more depth to the center position, like he did when he acquired Joe Veleno.
I wonder who that player could be, because still he's hanging out there. I threw his name out earlier in the summer that I thought the Canadiens were going to acquire, but they ended up not doing that. They acquired Zack Bolduc instead on the front end, and then signed Joe Veleno was Jack Roslovic. He's still out there. I don't know why. You don't really see a precedent for. I mean, listen, saying he's the best player of the position group that's remaining, he was one of the top centers available. That just goes to speak that it wasn't just very high quality centers available, but to see him still available at this point in the summer, we're about a month away, 3 weeks from training.
Yeah, we're about a month away from the Canadiens golf tournament's mid-September, so we're about a month away from the Canadiens golf tournament. But the Canadiens Ken Hughes has made deals. I mean, he acquired Patrik Laine in August, but August is the 1 month of the NHL where it sort of shuts down, right? GMs, that's their break. They get away. I mean, they're on their phones constantly, but I think August is the only month of the hockey season that really is slow. So even if Ken Hughes is trying to make a trade, other GMs might be taking some downtime. But I'm sure Ken Hughes is still working the phones, trying to add some more depth up front at the center position.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll probably see maybe in September, early September, once Carey Price's bonus is paid out.
Well, yes. I mean, that's a big thing there too, right? I mean, it's not. I mean, I wrote a column. People have to want to Google it, just on Carey Price and contract issues and salary cap. I wrote a column a couple of years ago and about yeah, they can put him on long-term injured reserve and it doesn't count against the cap, but it sort of does. It's very complicated. I interviewed the guy who used to run Cap Friendly before the Washington Capitals bought it, and he was very, very good in explaining exactly how that works. So if anybody wants more details, they just Google that my name and Cap Friendly and Carey Price, and it'll pop up there. But it's the last bonus is paid, I believe, September 1st. I think it's $5 million. And then Carey Price, it's not a big. He still got the $7 million cap hit or whatever it was, or $8 million. Was it? Sorry, $10.5 million.
Yeah,
$10.5 million cap hit. But he's not getting paid that much. So for a team looking to reach a salary cap floor, not just to start the season, but when trade deadline comes, and teams are rebuilding and they're getting rid of guys, you still got to be at that salary cap floor. So Carey Price's contract, a team like Pittsburgh, maybe that could help them, or another team that's in a rebuilding phase. So Carey Price was asked, I guess it was before the start of last season, with the possibility of his contract being traded, and he said, anything that would help the Canadiens is good with him. Not, teams don't need to ask him before they can trade him. But I don't believe with the no trade clause, even since he's not playing. But once that happens, that's going to free up some space for them, and that might be when we see Kent Hughes make a move to bring in a significant center who's making some money.
And maybe, just maybe, if you catch one of the Montreal Canadiens at Lasso who maybe enjoyed themselves a little bit too much, you could get maybe a little bit of an inside scoop.
They were having a good time when I saw them there a couple of years ago. Apparently this year they have some mechanical bull thing set up there, so it'll be interesting to see. I want to see Arbor Jack guy get on that.
It's funny because with the mechanical bull at these bars and at events and festivals, they see, when you watch someone else do it, it seems so easy.
Yeah.
You're looking and go, you lasted half a second. What? I can do better than that. And then you get on and you get bucked off right away, and you feel nothing makes you feel like a bigger jackass, because I did that when I was in Portugal earlier in the year. There was a mechanical bull. Mm-hmm. And I just, the way the guy was moving the bull, I go, come on, what is this on easy mode? He bucked me off in about 1 second. It was awesome.
But I'm sure the Habs players will be having a good time this weekend, and they should. It's summertime, right? It's their vacation. Go and have a good time, have a couple of beers, watch the country music, and it should be a great weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
So, Stu, we'll get you out of here on that note. Thank you very much for joining me, and enjoy the festival.
All right, thanks a lot.
And thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaBi.tb, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.